This is Sean with Voices of Racing, and I'm speaking to a gentleman who is a worldwide legend, Willie T. Ribbs. How you doing, Willie?
Hey, Sean, how are you?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. We're going to do a little honoring the Unsers with some images that you've been able to supply, and you already had your interview about your memories of the Unsers. Is that correct?
It was, every memory was a great one. And I think part of anyone's career, when your career is done, you got memories and you got stories. And without question, my relationship with Unsers is a great memory and a great story, and something that will be remembered forever.
All right, so this is a memory for you. 1991, Indianapolis Motor Speedway. This is the first time you were on that track. Is that right?
That was my first year at Indy. That was my rookie year. It was 1991, and history was made at that track at that time.
And you obviously knew the answers at that time as well. Is that right?
Oh yeah, Al Jr. and I were teammates and Al Jr. and I first met in 1982. We were racing Formula Atlantic in Long Beach, California, and it was part of the undercard for the Formula One race. And that's when we first met. And then a year later, well, not quite a year, but in 1983, February, we were racing as teammates for Dan Gurney at the Daytona 24 Hour.
And so this next one we're looking at, it's you and your son, Robbie, and or excuse me, it's Robbie Unser and your son Theo. And
Yep.
this is in Indianapolis. Is that right?
Yeah, that was Indianapolis, I think 2015 at Monument Circle. Actually, Al and I and Robbie were doing an interview out in that building behind us at a radio gig, and they wanted pictures, so we went outside and did pictures.
So this next one we're looking at, it's you and Al and Tony Perella. Why don't you kind of tell me about this moment, where you were, and just a little bit of the backstory?
I was doing the SRX Superstar Series last year that was live on CBS. We were prime time. And Al and Tony Perella. Tony is, of course, the owner of SVRA, Trans Am, F4, F3. Tony is one of the premier sanctioning body owners in the United States. And so they were at Mid Ohio at an event. So they both flew up on a private plane, which happened to be owned by Scott Bruschetta. They flew up from Mid Ohio up to Eldora, which is a crop duster trip.
And was this you guys after that moment? You guys having dinner?
No, that was Atlanta, Road
Okay.
Atlanta, V-Rock race, a vintage superstar race at Road Atlanta, and that was after the race 2018.
And this was at Tony Perella's wedding in New York. Is that right?
Yeah, Tony Perella, he's got a Godfather style mansion on Lake Seneca. And we were the only two drivers at the wedding. There was only about 50 people, and Tony knows thousands. And to be invited to that was a great honor. And Al and I and the gentleman in the glasses, Mark Dill, who does marketing and sales for Perella plus public relations. He's sort of Tony Perella's right hand man. And Mark Dill used to be a VP of marketing and sales for the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So he's Mark's a big cat.
Is there anything specific that happened at the wedding that's kind of a funny moment or a story that stands out?
Al and I were trying to throw my wife into the Seneca Lake, but My wife is 6'2" and a former athlete, and we couldn't do it. She ended up getting close to throwing us in.
So this is a good transition then. This is your wife, Steph. Is that right?
That is my wife, Steph.
How did you guys meet?
We've known each other for almost 20 years. We met in 2002 when she was general manager of the Sofitel Hotel in Redwood City, and now she's a VP of operations for a major hotel company right now. And so, I mean, we met at a party, and then I ended up inviting her to my party a month later. So, and she was a superstar basketball player for Montana State, and she is Montana farm girl strong.
All right, so let's talk about Al Senior for a little bit. How would you kind of describe him, and as far as his racing style and also his personality, and what's some favorite moments you have with Al Senior?
You know, Al Senior and I didn't hang out the way Uncle Bobby and I hung out, or Al Junior. But the times that I did um, hang out with Al Senior or in his company, he was just real smooth, methodical. And Al Junior said to me, he says, my dad could carry a car better than anybody. He could carry a car. He never made mistakes. He was smooth as silk, and all the Unsers are smooth, are very good and very smooth, and great car control and great feel. But Al Jr. said that his dad was by far the one who could carry a car, and he did. He carried it to four Indy 500 victories, and Al Sr. never made mistakes. He was just, um, and he was that way off the track. Very diplomatic, um, very cordial, and and had his own great stories.
So as far as Bobby, what's some personal moments you're able to share with Bobby? Some ones that just kind of favorite times hanging out. Could be racing, could be traveling, whatnot. What's some things you like to say?
I was right before COVID. Uh, Uncle Bobby called me, and I'd get a call from him once a week, sometimes more. And he'd say, Willie, he says, what are you and big girl doing? And I said, well, we're here. He says, get on the plane and come see me and Lisa. So we, got on the plane and flew down, and Lisa picked us up at the airport. And she says, she says, Bobby really loves you. And I said, well, and I love him just as much. And she says, you know why he does? I said, why? He says, because you two are so much alike. so, so we got to the house, and Uncle Bobby, he was in a wheelchair, and there was a ramp in his home. There's this long hallway that leads into the kitchen. Well, the kitchen is a step up. Well, he had a ramp, and he literally would fly up fly down the hallway and hit the ramp and get airborne in his wheelchair. Okay, now he was about 83 then, or 84 years old, and amazing. Just always positive, always positive, and a great motivator for me. And as a matter of fact, and I've said this many times, of all the old school drivers, of all the drivers of his era, he had my back more than anyone. He was the one that always stood behind me, and I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it. Plus, he had my wife already lit by 10 a.m. on rum and root beer. That was his drink, rum and root beer. And my wife can drink a lot because she's pretty tough. But by 10 a.m., she was feeling really good, thanks to Uncle Bobby.
That's great. All right, so back to Al. What's some of just your and I know you talk to him all the time. You guys are very close. He's one of your closest friends, just in general. But what are just some favorite moments that you've had with him at the track and off the track?
I would have to say I have very few friends as race drivers. Um, you know, when you're with me, to be a friend, I've got to trust you. And there's only a few drivers that I've ever known that I could trust and that I'm friends with today. And Al's one of them. Al's my closest friend. We talk, or we've already talked twice today, and we talk nearly every day. And I mean, from the day we met in Long Beach in 1982, it was it it was just, I knew he was genuine. He's a great human being. Just and he's great with people. I notice, when him and I are together, we have a lot of fun, and it's natural. It's just like hanging out. And when he's around people, people eat out like a pigeon. He's so great with people; they just eat out of the palm of his hands. He could walk into a boardroom with sponsors, and he's going to walk out with a deal. He's just that good, and he's that genuine. And not many people have that, especially famous people. And he's a famous man. So, um, Muhammad Ali had that, especially Muhammad Ali, and he had that. He had that persona. Awesome.
And as far as Norma, how would you describe Norma?
A gift for Al. Al's gift. And sometimes you go through life, and I got married late. I was married once, and I hadn't been married until Steph and I got married for almost 25 years. So, sometimes, the you save the best for last, and sometimes, you timing is everything. And I think Norma was just perfect for him at this time in his life, because how you close the curtain down, how the curtain down comes down on your life, and how you're going to be remembered and your legacy. Um, that's part of it. She will be part of it, and best thing that ever happened to him.
So, what would you like to say to Al to wish him a happy 60th birthday? Even though it's a little bit before it, but he's going to see this.
Hey, happy birthday, 60-year-old. I got 7 years on you, pal. So you got some, as you say. Al's got a great saying. He says, when you need to catch up, you need some Heinz. So, Al, have some Heinz so you can catch up to me, because you're 7 years behind. And happy birthday, babe. I love you to death.
All right, Willie, I really appreciate your time today. And I know Al's going to love this. And I'm going to close this one out, but just stay on the line.